Good morning, everyone. It is Sunday, so we're going to do kind of a weekly wrap up. How did things go last week in the real estate market in Florida? But before we jump into that, I have to show you my new cup. Do you not love that? This was a gift to myself for my 54th birthday. So it is my birthday today, and I love this. All right, before we dive into this, if this is the first time we're meeting, I want to introduce myself. My name is Barrett Pastor, and I've been a real estate broker for 26 years. So hopefully I'm coming to you from a place of knowledge and experience, and we can navigate all this crazy real estate stuff going on here together. All right, so on April 4th, it was announced by Jerome Powell, our friend Jerome Powell, kind of came out and said, I know that I've been kind of hinting, wink, wink, nod, nod, that rates are going to come down in the last quarter of 2024. Now, really, I think he forgets that we're paying attention. We're not asleep at the wheel over here as real estate consumers. And not only did he say that rates were going to come down in the last quarter of 2024, but what he has kind of been hinting at and saying is that rates were going to drop throughout 2024, just little tiny steps, with the biggest one being in the last quarter of 2024. Well, as of April 4th, just a couple days ago, not so much. Now they have collectively, they meaning the feds, we'll just refer to them as the feds, have gotten together and said, yeah, but you know what? Inflation is kind of going sideways. And I don't mean going sideways as in getting worse and worse, but kind of moving sort of laterally. Maybe you have a little bounce down, a little bounce up, and the net effect is kind of just a sideways movement. And in that case, their thought is, maybe we don't want to go dropping the interest rates yet. So here is my problem with that. First of all, let's talk about where they are right now. Right now, interest rates, as of the filming of this video, are sitting on a conventional fixed rate at about 7.5, a little over 7.5, right in that range. A 15-year is sitting right at 6.5. And listen, I want to mention this to you. This is my belief. This has always been my belief. I am not an advocate when you have a 1-point difference. I am not an advocate of a 15-year fixed note. And let me explain to you why. You're going to save the interest over the life of the loan, and the loan amortization is shorter. Fine. I agree with all that. But just kind of stick with me for a minute here. Wouldn't it be better for you to be in control of that? So if you take out the 30-year and you prepay into the principal, however much you can. So let's say you have 3 good years, or you get a bonus, something along those lines, and you make a principal payment that's paying it down substantially, or you just set up a principal payment that auto drafts into your mortgage payment. Let's say you do $200 every paycheck, and let's just say you get paid twice a month. That might be more and better than doing the 15-year note, especially with young families where, something like 2 cars needing a full round of tires might dramatically change your budget. So I kind of like to look at it that if you do the 30-year and you take control of the pay down, then if you've got a few months where you're going to be tight, you just go right back to that 30-year amortization payment, but you're in control of it, not someone else. This is what you want to do. So it gives you a lot more control over your budget. So for that reason, I much prefer the 30-year fix. The other way to look at it, and the other reason I've suggested it to people on numerous occasions, even in the second home market like what I'm in Florida, in Southwest Florida, is because let's say you buy something and you know for sure this is a vacation home for you, you're not cash poor, but then again, nobody has an unlimited amount of money. So you go ahead and you do the 30-year fixed, because you know that there's going to be times where you're spending more money to to not only renovate the house, but maybe you're going to put a pool in. Maybe you need to furnish the entire house. So for that first, let's just say 2 years, you need that lower payment. Then into the third year, everything's good. Your pool's in, you're ready to go, you're using the property. Then at that point, throw in an extra $1,000 on your principal payment, set it up that way, and you'll pay that down a lot quicker. So that's what I would suggest doing on that with the interest rates. Now, on top of that, we also have a lot of political unrest, and sometimes people misinterpret what we're saying when we say that. You have to look at the U.S. globally, and everything that's going on in the world will affect us. So the stock market saw a reverse last week. There were some good things, but there were some really not so good things. So all of that causes the feds to take pause and say, well, you know what, maybe not so much. So here's the problem with it, all right? Remember, date the rate, marry the house. Does anybody remember that all over Facebook? Date the rate, marry the house. Remember that? Here is the issue with that. Now you are stuck with that thing that you were dating. You've got the house, you married the house, but that interest rate that you were supposed to be dating, that was kind of your side gig over there. No, not so much anymore, because who's going to do an entire refinance over 0.25? It's just absolutely not worth it at all. In my opinion, it needs to be 1 full percentage point in order for me to pull a refi on anything. So that whole theory of date the rate, marry the house, you have the house now. You're responsible for the house. You're responsible to pay for everything. You did that at the tippy top of your budget, and now everybody said, well, interest rates are probably going to come down. You listened to your loan officer who said, well, the feds are saying that they're probably going to drop the rates in the last quarter significantly, or they're going to drop them throughout the year. And that is not happening. Listen, is there a drop from where they were at the beginning of the year? Absolutely. But you're not talking about a significant drop that's going to impact you at the kitchen table, you with all the other bills that you have, because you have to look at your life globally. You have to say, okay, if I lose $50 a month, which literally we're talking about McDonald's once a week, okay? That is truly what we're talking about if we're lucky. That's the issue with it, is that people don't just look at their situation as my one mortgage payment. They have to also look at everything else that's gone up. You know, the cost of living, health care, food, all of that. So that little $50 drop a month, it does not matter. And the cost to do it into the mortgage may also not be worth it, depending on the type of refi that you're going to do. So to me, that is really not good news. And again, as I always say on this channel, I give you my best impression of how I see it. So I'm going to repeat what I always say on this channel. We need to see the house prices come down. That is what needs to happen. Now, does the interest rate need to come down? Yeah, I would love to see that too. But I'm realistic on that. I think, in my opinion, and what I'm advising my buyers to do, if the rates get in the mid fives and even up towards 6, mid 5 to low 6, I say go on that, because if you look at numbers historically, that's probably the best that we can hope for to kind of have a good, strong economy in the U.S. and also a strong, reasonable real estate market. When I hear people say to me, I'm going to wait for the interest rate to get down in the 3s and the 4s again, listen, you're going to be waiting a really long time. My advice is, if we get into the mid 5s, right up there at 6, that's a doable situation for most people. I think that's a reasonable number and expectation to want on your mortgage interest rate. Of course, everybody wants it lower, but we have to be kind of semi-reasonable. So to me, that with a price reduction on property, that's what we need. It can't be one or the other, and one or the other could tilt the other the wrong direction. And I think that's what we're kind of right now. This is what I think the feds are doing. I hope anyway, this is what they're doing to kind of say, how do we make this work without making one kind of crash down to the other side, if you know what I mean. So that is it for what's been going on last week. You know, we will see what it brings this next week coming forward. I will have a video out for you Wednesday. We're going to be talking about blacklist condos. If you are in the market for a condo, or if you own one and you're wanting to sell it, we need to talk on Wednesday.